Follow us on Facebook by typing in 100 Mix FM or any other social media platform.
Right down the line, Michael J. Mike Moraitis. Good Sunday morning to you. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. I'm kind of a little sluggish this morning. It's taking
why's that?
to get started.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just and I actually slept in a little bit, because it is Sunday.
Right.
So you always try to sleep in a little bit. So, there's that. But hey, you know what? I'm like you today. Look, I got my mug. It's not coffee. It's chai tea. But hey,
Straight black.
they got
Straight
well,
black. I switched to it about 6
right?
months ago. Yeah, I switched to it 6 months ago, and it was terrible, man. Like I hated it, and I just kept going and going and going and going, and now I love it, dude. I can't I don't know.
Really?
It's so weird. I used to be a milk and sugar guy, and now
Right.
straight black. It just hits different. I don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, bro. There's nothing hindering the
Mhm.
punch of the caffeine.
Yep. Now, if I drink my wife's coffee with all that milk and sugar,
You're like,
yeah, and it does nothing for me. So
my
Works.
grandmother, God rest her soul, Irish and Italian, and straight black. I can't stand the smell of coffee.
oh, I love it.
And
I love it.
I've told listeners this before. I went to Catholic school from 5th grade to 12th grade. And between the nuns and the lay teachers, all they ever did was drink coffee. The lay teachers, they drank coffee and smoked. So when they're in your face, all you're smelling is coffee and cigarette breath.
That's understandable.
So I've always hated the smell of coffee. Can't stand
That's
it.
understandable.
It just brings back bad juju, So
Hmm.
that's where that derives from. But I've always drank tea, which is weird because my grandmother drank both. She drank tea and she drank coffee.
Yeah, tea's all right. I mean, when I'm on kind of my diet kicks, I'll drink a lot of green tea. That's where it's
Green
at.
tea is actually pretty good. It doesn't taste very good.
No, and I drink it straight up too, so it's not really for health. It's for survival, man. I mean, that's the coffee too. Same thing. It's for survival. You just kind of ignore the taste and just
Right?
keep living, man. It's all
there's
about living.
There's no zhuzhing it up whatsoever. Just
Right.
drink it. And
No plugs either. No free
No
plugs.
Right? PlayStation. Wow. That's crazy. I did I have, the trivia. And one of the trivia questions we did was actually about Sega Genesis this week, which was pretty funny. Because all it made me do was think about those stupid commercials. Sega! And
Right. Legendary. Oh man, Genesis was excellent. Excellent.
Dreamcast, all that stuff. It was crazy.
Yes, the short-lived Dreamcast.
Very short-lived.
Very short-lived, but it was a good system though.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised it didn't make it. That's weird. It came out at a weird time too.
It was the first big 16-bit console that hit the market. They were
with
first.
CDs, which was a difference. But you know what? It came right around the time, I think, of PlayStation and Xbox, and they just destroyed them. I mean, it just wasn't even
video
close.
game war.
Yeah.
There's a thing on Netflix that's kind of rejuvenated itself. I think it's from 2 years ago, from 2020.
Okay.
And you might want to check it out. It's actually pretty interesting. I'll find the name of it. But anyway, we're having our personal conversation here.
Hey, we're only human, right?
I know, right? So don't forget, guys, make sure you follow us at on YouTube, youtube.com. At Right Down the Line is where you can find us, and you can follow us on Twitter at RDTL Show. And make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. Okay, so since you are USA Today's Titans Wire.com man over here, tell us a little bit about this big headlines. Titans OC arrested on DUR charges after returning from the Packers win on Thursday night. So give us the scoop, Mike. What happened?
Yeah, so, I mean, just hours after the Titans upset the Packers at Lambeau Field, their offensive coordinator, who finally called a good game and had fans cheering for him, got pulled over for the most boneheaded thing you can get pulled over for, a DUI. He admitted to police he was had some beers before he got in the car. Turns out he failed the sobriety test, was arrested at around 2:30 a.m., which, mind you, is what, 3 hours after the game had ended? I'm not sure with the 2:30 a.m. if it was Central Time because a lot of
Right.
Tennessee is in Central, but whatever. It was about 3 or 4 hours after the game ended. So, yeah, just I mean, terrible look. He was speeding 95 to 100 miles per hour. He was
Woo!
estimated to be going. He told the police that he was concerned about death threats, which was why he was trying to rush home. I don't know if that was just kind of a line to use with the police. I
Right.
I hope he's not getting death threats.
Right.
If there are people out there throwing death threats at this man, I mean, just stop. I mean,
Right.
you need
Football.
help. Go seek help. It's
Yeah.
football, exactly.
Right.
It's a game. It's a sport. It's entertainment. Just calm down if that's what people are doing. I tend to believe that was kind of an excuse with the cops. I'm rushing home. That's why I'm speeding. Whatever you want to make it. If you're out there doing that, get some help and stop. I mean, it's just the way it is. But obviously, Downing might face some discipline from the league. But somewhat of the bigger picture here is there was such a small amount of time between the end of the game and when, he got pulled over.
Right.
So now the question becomes, did the
Where was he
Titans
drinking?
have alcohol on their team playing?
Right.
And which is forbidden by the league. You can't have
Right.
alcohol in the plane, team facilities, whatever. So now this is a question people are asking. Head coach Mike Vrabel declined to comment whether or not that was the case, but I mean, it with the timeline, it's tough to imagine that Downing had enough time to get on that plane, fly home, get his stuff from the facility or wherever they land, and then drive home, you know, in the span of 3 or 4 hours. That doesn't leave a lot of time to start pounding, alcohol.
Right.
So, one has to wonder if that was on the plane. And if it was, Titans could face discipline. And the Commanders got away with it. After their most recent win, they were caught with alcohol on the plane. Right,
Yes,
exactly.
yes,
Taylor
sir.
Heineke was all turned up. Now we know why. But the Commanders got lucky because
They did.
Ron Rivera reached out to the league and said, "I disciplined my own players," and the
Right.
NFL was okay with that. I doubt they're going to be okay with that again. I
Right.
don't think that that's going to happen here, and I think the Titans are going to face a stiff penalty if it's discovered they were doing what looks like they were doing, which was alcohol on the plane. And I'm
Right.
sure that teams doing these things on the plane, I'm sure it's fairly commonplace at least. It's just a matter of if you get caught, and Downing might have just ruined it for everyone. So not only is he disliked by his own fans, but now he's going to be disliked by every team in the league that now can't celebrate on a plane the way they might
Right.
want to.
Well, $2,500 bail, which he posted,
Yeah.
which is obviously a drop in the bucket. Here's the thing. Two things that I wanted to kind of point out. One, you made a great point. There's got to be something. That timeline is too short.
Yeah.
There's more to it than that. He had booze in a bag, something. And I'm just speculating.
Mm.
This is all me. This is not Mike Moraitis. This is all me. I am completely speculating. Only because I've done it.
Mm.
So when you have that small of a gap, first of all, you're going to tell me he got off that plane, found somewhere to pound all that booze. Now, we say all that booze, even if it was 2 or 3 drinks, that can get you over the legal limit. One
Absolutely.
drink, depending on your body weight, can get you over the legal limit. So I don't want listeners to be like, oh, man, he was drinking a bottle of vodka.
Right.
All it takes is 1 or 2 drinks.
Yeah.
Now, for as big as this man is, I would say 2 or 3 drinks would get him over the legal limit. Okay.
Yeah.
Depending on when he was drinking them. That's another thing you have to really think of, right? One shot, 1 hour, okay, is usually the go-to.
Right.
1 shot of booze, 1 beer, 1 hour for it to leave your body, so to speak.
Yep.
So there's that. And that's a big question because you're like, it was like 2 a.m. What was going on?
Exactly.
It just seems weird. Now, a lot of us are guilty of it because like I said, I've done it. You had some, you have a little thing on you, or you have a couple of mini bottles, whatever the case may be. Right. So there had to be some of that involved. The other thing is the disciplinary action. Like you said, you always have to get ahead of the story. And Ron Rivera, being around as long as he has, was very smart in that situation. He got ahead of the story. He knew it was going to come out, and that's why he went to the league before anything else could have came out and presented itself. It was an absolute veteran coach move.
Yeah, and you wonder, does it even get out if Downing doesn't get arrested? Because I
Right.
mean, 3 days had gone by, and we didn't. I mean, maybe I missed something, but I didn't see anything about the Commanders, possibly getting in trouble from drinking
I
on the
didn't either.
plane. So, I mean, that also makes you wonder if Rivera was actually that good that he avoided it getting out altogether.
Right. Like all right, we're ahead of it. Y'all go ahead and just shut that down.
Mm.
So this, however, is a little bit different. Now you have a legal charge against one of the coaches. That makes it a little bit different. That's going to be, that's a lot harder. First of all, if Vrabel's not talking to anybody,
Yeah. Well, he
obviously he
used the
couldn't get
back.
ahead of it.
He prefaced it by saying there's a legal investigation or
Sure.
whatever, and he can't comment on an ongoing investigation. So, I mean, it's not that he just was like, I'm not talking about that or anything. So he did
Right.
preface it by saying that, which is
Illegal.
really the correct legal answer to give.
Sure.
And that's up for the league to go over and all that stuff.
Yeah, look, it's never a good situation, especially, whether it's a player, whether it's a coach, anybody on that staff, just never, I don't want to say a good look. It's just never a good situation for anybody to
No,
be in.
and these guys have. I mean, the team has accessible with like Ubers and Lyfts or whatever they need to get home. There is no need to be driving
None.
home in that situation. You're the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans. You can't
You
you
can
can't
afford.
take that chance, man. You can't, and then it impacts your whole team too.
Right.
Like it's not just a one. And then I mean, most importantly, the fact that you're under the influence and you're driving at high speeds.
Right.
That above all else is the worst part of it, of course. And I didn't mention that in the original, but like uh, it goes without saying. You're putting other people's lives in
Danger.
danger.
Yep.
It could have been far worse. We saw what happened with Andy Reid's son. My God, was that such a horrific situation?
Absolutely.
And for any, especially coaches in the NFL, after seeing that, for you to take that chance, and just even as a human being in general, I mean, it's just such a terrible decision. It's dangerous, and you put other
Right.
people's lives at risk. And what about your
Absolutely.
family? You have a family at home that you even told the cop, I'm so concerned about my family over death threats, whether true or not. But
Right.
that concern,
Should have
dude,
made you be more
should
cautious.
exactly. What higher concern can you have than being around for your family?
Right.
And that it's so frustrating on so many levels. And then when you take the football aspect of it as well, which is the least important aspect, but we talk sports, right? So I'm going to
Right.
talk about it. And it's just you finally got in the good graces of the fans. They were finally, happy for you. Great game. And then you go and do that. It's par for the course with what Todd Downing what his tenure has been as offensive coordinator, which is just so much negativity. And just when you think there's the slightest shred of hope, he
This
just
happened.
burns it all down, man.
Right.
He burns it all down.
That's where you and I are very similar with that, because obviously we've had our woes with Matt Canada. But as far as Todd Downing, here's the other thing, and I've said this 1,000 times, and we're going to move on after this because I hate to beat a dead horse, and I don't think we are. I'm just, there's something about when you sign an NFL contract, whether you're a coach or a player, okay, you know what you signed up for. And to me, every aspect of what you do on a daily basis reflects on not just you and your family, but that institution or that franchise, however you want to word it.
Yep.
And the shield, right? The coveted shield, the no fun league shield, right? At
Yep.
that point, when you take pen to paper and put your name on that contract, everything else is off the table. All the nonsense, all the BS is off the table. It's over. It's over. You have an opportunity that thousands of players, coaches, and personnel are dying to be a part of. And you are one of the lucky ones. You are part of that 10%. Why are you not doing everything in your feasible power to make sure that you get to keep it? Now,
Yep.
whether or not he keeps his job is not up to me. It's not up to you. We do
I
not work for the Titans.
I
So,
think he will. Vrabel is fiercely loyal, and
right.
I obviously if something like this happens again, it'll be a different story. But
Sure.
Downing, as far as I know, throughout his career, has never gotten into any kind of trouble like this.
Jarvis
So
Landry is still playing football. Okay. You know,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, remember Dante Stallworth? I mean, guy came back
Pac-Man
and played football
Jones.
after actually killing someone. So
Yeah.
people have done worse.
Way worse. I mean, I think the worst, well, we won't get into that. It's a whole nother show. But anyway, I agree with you. I think he's going to keep his job as well. I'm sure this might even be, we don't know because we haven't heard yet, but this might be his very first offense.
Right.
So, you take it with a grain of salt, move on. My point just being that once you become part of that, that organization that so many people in these positions would kill to be in. I'm like, nah, no BS, no nonsense, no nothing. And to me, even if you made the absolute minimum that any OC in the NFL could make, don't tell me that you don't get paid enough to get an Uber. Don't tell me.
Right.
Now, you
No.
might have had some kind of circumstance. Oh, I need to get that. No, you don't need to do anything, bro. You had a couple, let it ride. Get an Uber, get whatever. So to me, I always find it inexcusable because most people that would have that opportunity wouldn't be dumb enough to throw it away by doing something that's stupid. Now, granted, when I was much younger, I also did something stupid like that as well. But that's in my past, and everybody's got their own issues, right? But to me, it just seems like a grown man like that in that kind of position would have been smarter. And I think he knew better. And I'm sure
Yeah.
he's
And
kicking himself in the rear end today.
yeah, and I've seen people trying to cancel him and get him fired. And listen, I've been as much of a proponent for firing Todd Downing because of the terrible job that he's done.
Right.
I'm not going to throw him, into the dumpster because he made a mistake. I'm a second chances kind of guy, depending on the mistake you've made,
Well,
obviously.
yeah.
I'm a second chances kind of guy. I'm not trying to cancel
I
somebody
might say.
because they make one mistake. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just enough of that nonsense. If he
Right.
gets fired, it should be for the terrible job he's done.
I
He made a
agree.
mistake. I'm sure he's going to come out and apologize about it, and
Sure.
I doubt he'll ever do it again. If he does, see you later. I mean, that's it. But I think he deserves a second chance.
Yeah, I do too. I'm with you. There's no reason to go ahead and just and I haven't seen that, but you're on that end. So, but however, it really doesn't surprise me that people are trying to, cancel
Some
and
of the
get fired.
jokes from this have been pretty savage too on Twitter, man.
Oh, I can
Twitter
imagine.
is the biggest cesspool in the world of trolls and
Oh
bots and
God, yeah.
negativity. It's more
Oh,
toxic than Chernobyl, I say. But
it's bad.
man, the jokes are good. Jokes are good.
Last place in the NFC West, the 3-6 LA Rams, and their quarterback Max Stafford has been cleared for concussion protocol and will play today against the New Orleans Saints. Mike, does it even matter
No, they're dead.
at
They're
this
done.
point?
Yeah,
Can we just like Stephen A. Smith says all the time? Can we just take him out back and pow?
Right. I was going to come on today and say they have a tiny shred of hope because I mean, look at the seventh seed is 5-4. They're only 2 games back, right?
Right.
But now we get Cooper Cup is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep.
Done. You're
Oh, yeah.
done. That's it. I mean, I haven't seen from Allen Robinson that he can come even remotely close to replacing Cooper Cup or I don't even want to say replacing. I hate that word. Filling in for, let's say, okay?
Right.
Van Jefferson's a nice player, but again, nowhere near what Cooper Cup is. You're not a struggling offense is now losing its literally its only weapon. I mean, the running game hasn't done anything this year. Tyler Higbee's been good at tight end, so man, all
Oh
right.
yeah.
But Cooper Cup is the offense. And now you have a struggling
Unfortunately, yeah.
offense without its best weapon. Done. They're done. That's it. It's over. The season's over for them. They're Super Bowl hangover, whatever you want to call it. Their offensive line got
Said it.
broken up. You lose Von Miller, you lose Odell Beckham. It's
Big
just
pieces have
done.
fallen out of that pie.
Done. They're
You know what I
finished.
mean?
Yep,
Big,
absolutely.
big pieces. Look, it's not like he's lighting up the world anyway. And you made a great point, Mike. Without Cooper Kupp, it seems like it's a wash anyway. He's 20th in yards. He's tied for 24th for touchdowns, and he's tied for 30th in interceptions
Yes.
with a QBR of 47.5. If I threw those numbers in your face and said, "Who do you think this is?" and I said, "Oh, by the way, it's a Super Bowl winning quarterback from let's just say a few years ago," I wouldn't have even said last year. Would you have been like, "There's no way"? There's no way that it
None.
should be this bad.
No. No. And I'll tell you another thing. Adding insult to injury, what are they? They have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, eighth worst record in the league. So they have currently a top 10 pick. And if things keep going the way they're going, could be a top 5 pick. But guess what? They don't have a top 5 pick or a top 10 pick because the Lions get that pick
Right.
from the Stafford trade.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, adding insult to injury.
So you're losing and you don't even have good picks anymore.
Yeah, there's not even a silver lining at the end of it,
Nope.
and this team's going to get a year older, and they are in probably salary cap hell. I haven't checked the numbers lately, but I would imagine they did a lot of mortgaging of the future. You could be looking at a situation where the Los Angeles Rams are on the brink of a rebuild next year.
Yep.
I think they'll take another run at it, but the Rams, because of selling out to win, which I think any fan base would do. If you tell them, listen, I'll give you a Super Bowl, but you're going to have,
You're gonna be crap
5 to 10 years of misery after that.
Yep.
I think most fans would sign up for that. I think all fans would sign up for
Right.
that.
In the moment, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And that's the thing, Mike. That's exactly what they did, right? They mortgaged the farm to get the Lombardi.
Mm-hmm.
And fans tend to forget that. You know what I mean? They really tend to forget how the inners really go down. They're like, "Oh, yeah, we're getting this guy. Oh, we had Odell. Oh, we have Von Miller. This is good. Oh, my God. We're Super Bowl champs. We're going to run it back." No, you're not. No, you're not. This is the worst case of a Super Bowl hangover I've seen in about 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go through the seasons and see, but I would imagine that it's got to be one of the worst ever. I mean, it's just bad.
It really is. Like you look, but people say, "Well, Mike, what about barring injuries?" And that always happens. We understand that, and that's always part of the equation. However, this is just before some of these guys got hurt. You were all there, and you were all playing badly. I understand the Von Miller piece. I'm talking about offensively. So now
their offensive line. Yeah.
I mean, give me a break. So, I don't see how they come back.
2023, $5.1 million over the cap.
Woo!
To start.
Buddy.
Yeah, and I think it might actually get worse in 2024. In 2024, they're estimated to be $12 million over the cap. Yikes!
$12 million over the cap.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
See, they mortgaged the farm for that Super Bowl.
So they're going to have to go one of two ways next year. They're going to either have to start, rolling back some of this stuff that they did and and start fixing their money situation, or they're just going to keep going for it for another year. Either way, I don't see this particular group being around for another year or two. I think you're going to see, this team start to break up a little bit. And, I mean, how old is Stafford? He's in his late 30s.
Yep.
How many more years does he have left? And he's only 34. Wow.
Yeah.
Felt like he was older than that, right?
Yeah. Well, it seems. Well, you got to remember. It does seem like he's been around a hot minute, maybe a little bit longer. I mean, that does make sense because he was the last draft class that came out before the collective bargaining agreement, before they fixed the rookie contracts. Remember?
Right.
When you were sitting on a 3-year, he was the last one to get that big fat rookie contract that guys don't get anymore. I remember that was like 40-something million or something like that. But yeah, he was the last rookie to get that big job, to get that big contract as a rookie before they changed.
It feels like he's been around.
So it does feel like he's been around.
I can't believe he's only 34. So listen, maybe the window's open a few more years. We'll see, but it's going to be tough for them to improve, especially the offensive line, which I mean is expensive to fix.
Sure.
And, that loss of Andrew Whitworth was really tough for them.
It's starting to show. It
Oh,
definitely
it's been
started to
showing
show
all
about
year.
week 3.
And, remember Stafford had an elbow injury at the beginning of the year, or was it
Yep.
an elbow or shoulder or something? And it was expected to bother him all year. So I think it's just really a perfect storm of so many different things that has really fallen down, that led to them falling down this year. And, so we'll see. We'll see what direction they go next year. But it's going to be, one way or the other. These chickens are going to come home to roost, man. You're gonna have to get out from under this salary cap situation and have to do a full rebuild. And you may be doing it without Aaron Donald and Sean McVay if these guys are serious about retiring as early as they've been kind of hinting at.
I know.
Although I did hear Peter Schrager say the other day that he spoke to McVay, and McVay said that if they don't make the playoffs this year, that he's not going to go out like that. So I think McVay will be back.
I was going to say, I don't think he will either.
Yeah, and Aaron Donald either. These guys are too proud, man.
No way.
And both of them would have a job post career in Tucson. I mean, McVay would be all over the television. Forget it.
Oh, and there's plenty of teams that could benefit from his knowledge. Worst team in the NFL, 3 to 4 wins right now, Mike. If you had to pick somebody in the NFL that is the best of the worst in the NFL right now with 3, maybe 4 wins, who would you put your money on to make the playoffs?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a curveball. I was going to say. I thought you were going to ask me who's the just the worst 3 or 4 win team.
The best of the worst teams. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, who are the best of the worst teams? Let's go. Let's start there. Let's break it down from there. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean it's tough, man. I mean,
I
feel like the Raiders are going to be dangerous. I know they only have 2 wins, but I think the Raiders are going to be dangerous down the stretch. I don't think I think they've got more talent than that record says. I know what Bill Parcells says, whatever, but I think they've got more talent on offense. They're better than a 2-7 team. As far as one of these teams making the playoff, I mean, I don't think the Falcons are the best of the 3 and 4 win teams, but what they have going for them is their division is very favorable right now, and the NFC as a whole is favorable right now. So I think let's see what their situation is in the South. They're only 1 game back of the Bucks.
Yeah.
So I think of those 3 and 4 win teams, I think the Falcons have the best shot to actually make the playoffs, and really just because of circumstances. I don't think that they're better than, let's say, I think the Cardinals are probably better than them.
Ugh.
I would say even despite their ills, I would say the Packers are probably better than them.
Oof.
That's about it.
Who would have thought that we would be sitting here this season talking, and as you're saying, well, I think the Cardinals and the Packers, even though they're not playing well, and I'm sitting here going, ugh.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way. I took a flyer this year on Arizona players, which honestly, if I would have known they were going to stink up the joint, I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
I wouldn't have realized that Tampa Bay was going to stink up the joint and wait until week 10 to get 5-5. Didn't see that coming. Out of all these crappy 3 and 4 win teams, the thing that scares me the most is at the end of the day, he's always the guy that we have to be careful with. We just have to. We can say how bad we saw them play. We can talk about it. You and I have talked about it. Other talking heads have talked about it. They just stink. They stink. But yet somehow this team has figured out a way to now be 4-7. And I'm talking about the Green Bay Packers. It's hard to count out this dude they call Aaron Rodgers. It's just hard to count him out. And I want to. Believe me, as a Steeler fan, I want to count him out. I want to sweep them under the rug, and I want to move on. And I don't want to hear any more about how amazing Aaron Rodgers is and how he's one of the best quarterbacks. And I'm so over it, Mike. You have no idea, bro. I'm over it. However, they kind of have that, he's that piece. As bad as they've played, as horrific as that offense, that defense seems to be at times, somehow he is that key focal point that turns things around, and you go, what the hell is going on? And if there's a team that I would say out of these 3 and 4 win teams, if any of them are going to make the playoffs, I agree with you on the Cardinals. I think that there's still some life in there, even though they've had a lot of injuries going, in the past few weeks. It's really dampened some of their play. Atlanta, Marcus Mariota, I don't trust them.
Yeah.
And I used to be on that guy. I was on his team. Believe me, during the draft, that year, the draft, I was all about Marcus over Jameis Winston. I was like, if you need a guy that's going to win for you long term, Marcus is your guy. If you need somebody that's going to help you win right now, it's Jameis Winston. And for some reason, over the years, he has just become the guy you can't trust. I'm sorry, Marcus. It just is what it is. I know you're a nice guy. I know you're a good community family guy. I get it, blah, blah, blah. I just don't trust you, bro. I don't see it happening. If any of
Yeah.
those teams is going to make it to the playoffs and even make any kind of noise, to me, in my opinion, it would be the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. The reason why I picked the Falcons is just pretty much circumstance. I mean, that division is wide open. The Packers are done in their division. I mean, it would take. I think the Vikings are, and I've been as tough as anybody on the Vikings.
I don't know
They
if I'm
they
buying
should have
that.
lost to the Bills. I'm not buying the Vikings as a Super Bowl contender per se, but they should have lost to the Bills. But the fact that they played them so well showed a lot to me. So I'm kind of warming up to the Vikings being, a serious competitor. So I'll, listen, I admit when I'm wrong and, I'm starting to feel like I'm a little bit wrong, but we'll see. We'll see. But getting back to the Falcons, I picked them because just by circumstance, the conference they're in, the division they're in,
Right.
the Packers are not winning that division. So they've got one route to the playoffs, and that's through a wild card. And they've got to jump three teams going into today. One of them has, one more win than them in the
Sure.
Commanders. So the Cardinals, I think, are the second kind of most likely team to come out of that group because, again, same thing, division wide open.
Yeah.
Do we trust that the Seahawks are going to keep
Seahawks.
running at as hot as they
Niners.
are? Right. Niners, very good team, but they're only 5-4. They get injured
Right.
every damn week. So the Cardinals, actually, here's an interesting stat for you. Because of injuries, and obviously players stink and you just have to replace them sometimes. The Cardinals have fielded 76 different players between offense, defense, and special teams this year. The record is 91.
Wow.
So and I know that because the Titans own that record. They broke it last year with 91 players used. Titans are up to
Wow.
70. Yep, Titans are up to 73
This year?
after Thursday night. Yeah, so they're second in the league. I was shocked that somebody was above them, but sure enough, the Cardinals are ahead of them in that stat. So Cardinals have really had a rough go of it this year. I don't think they're that good of a team, but I think
Right.
they could be better than what they've shown. And honestly, if they don't make the playoffs this year, especially with the way the division is worked out, Cliff Kingsbury, I don't see how he keeps his job.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't either.
Yeah.
All right. Keep it locked, y'all. We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about our Week 10 quick wrap-ups with a little talk about Vikings, Bills, Steelers, Saints, and of course, we're going to talk about that Colts Raiders game. And my man Jeff Saturday, is he the guy that they should hand over the keys to the kingdom to? Mike and I will talk about it on the other side of the break. Keep it locked right down the line. Michael J. Mike Moraitis, don't go nowhere.
fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Get over to 100mixfm.com and leave us a message on how we're doing or what you want to hear.
Right down the line, Michael J. Mike Moraitis hanging out with you. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at RDTL Show. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com at Right Down the Line. So after the show, it takes me a little while to do it, but you can always listen to the show. You'll be able to starting next week on our website, but however, you can always listen to us and listen to a replay of the show on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and of course on Anchor as well. Or you can just check it out on Twitter, however you want. We're everywhere, baby. I'm trying to make sure that you can find us no matter where you go. So there you have it. All right. So let's talk about some of these games from last week. Vikings, Bills. So you had made a comment before we went to break about the Vikings. They're now 8-1. The Packers would have a tough time getting into the playoffs. And, you know, in that aspect, I agree with you. But I got to ask you, is this Minnesota Vikings team for real? Is that 8-1 record, Mike, really trustworthy? Can you really bank on that? Is it something that you're like, yeah, this is a team that could probably go into the NFC and actually they have a shot?
I mean, yeah. I mean, the NFC is wide open, man. I mean, I think the Eagles are still the best team in the conference. I think that they're going to continue to be the best team in the conference through the regular, season. You look at teams that Minnesota had beaten, which is why I wasn't a big believer in them. Green Bay, Detroit, New Orleans, Chicago. Miami was their most impressive win before Buffalo, and then you have Arizona and Washington. So not really a who's who of victories. I mean, they're winning these games. They're winning all of them close as well.
Yep.
They're not blowing teams out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was nothing really to impress me about this team's 7-1 start. But, again, they should have lost to the Bills last week. They got lucky. They won. Okay.
That game was unbelievable.
I mean, insane. And that Justin Jefferson catch is one of the greats of all time. I'm not going to say it's better than Odell's, though, but one of the great catches you'll ever see.
There.
It's up there for sure.
It's up there, man.
It's up there for sure. It's right like neck and neck with George Pickens' catch from earlier this year. That I thought should have gotten more credit than it did, but that's
just Steelers. They don't do these for us. They don't do these.
With the Vikings and the Bills, I mean, it was 24-10 going into the half. And then, I had predicted that the Bills are going to stop the Vikings. So I felt really good about that at the half. And then the second half happened, man. I mean, it's 6 points from the Bills and the Vikings climbed back in. Even if they had lost that game, let's say, whatever it was, 30-24, whatever it was at the end there, I still would have given them their props. They fought back against, the team that I think is probably the second best, or if not the best team in the league, and they won. So, I mean, the fact that they made that comeback in and of itself showed me a lot. So I have more confidence in the Vikings than I did going into last week, but I still think the Eagles are the best team in the conference.
We talked a little bit about this last week. So here are the Bills now at this point. And I know George last week made some comments about Brian Daboll coming out of that offense, not being the play caller anymore over there, how much of an impact that he thinks that it's starting to make or has made throughout the first half of the season. And I'll be honest with you, you can't look at this and not think that there's some truth and validity to it. You're starting to see a little bit of the Wyoming Josh Allen, frantic at times, making bad decisions that he normally doesn't make. It was those were some of the biggest knocks on him coming out of Wyoming, was the fact that, yes, he had a big arm, but he threw a lot of picks. He was indecisive and rushed to judgment. We hadn't seen that type of play out of him that much until last week against that Vikings game. It was so predominant. It was so obvious. And it was a little concerning. where do you put the worry? Do you put the worry on the play calling? Is it maybe just Josh Allen reverting a little bit because he doesn't have Daboll? Maybe there's some other things going on. Where would you, if you had to, Mike, where do you put the blame? Where's the blame?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it had, Allen gets all the praise. He leads the NFL in interceptions, by the way. Now, I mean, there's always context with every interception. So I admit I have not watched every interception Josh Allen's thrown. I don't know if passes have been tipped or, a receiver ran a wrong
Sure.
route or, so the
Right.
context
Those
isn't there.
numbers are hard. Yeah.
But I mean, this is a guy that has interception problems. He leads the NFL right now with 10. He finished tied for the second most last year with 15. I think maybe he's just trying to do too much, and I mean, the Bills don't exactly run the ball that well,
Nope.
so that's another issue that they're having at the moment. So yeah, I mean, he's just trying to do too much, I think, right now, and the defense hasn't been as great as we thought it would be.
Yeah.
In some games. So, I think it's really just a combination of a lot of different things. But, we spoke about it last week and you guys said, listen, you and George are both saying, hey, we got to, maybe just bench him and think about, down the road or whatever. They can't afford to think about down the road, man. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's just the way it is right now. Going into today, they are the number 6 seed in the conference.
Yep.
If they lose today, I don't know what the tiebreakers are with the Patriots and the Chargers and the Bengals, but those are 3 teams that are right behind them.
Yep.
One game behind them.
Game away.
So I don't know how the tiebreakers work, but there might be a scenario where the Bills fall out of a playoff spot today, which was unthinkable,
Yep.
at the beginning of the year. So there's trouble there, man. If I'm a Bills fan, I'm not
Feel
feeling great
concerned.
about things when I wake up today. And just like Bills fans did, and I have to mention this because Bills fans are the greatest fans on the planet. I mean, these fans showed up at players' houses and plowed and shoveled them out of their houses
I
so
know.
that they
I
can get
heard.
to the airport
Huh.
and get on the plane, man. Like,
Yeah, man.
there is no better fan base in the NFL than
Bills
the Bills
Mafia
fans.
is real. It's real.
It's the Bills and everybody else. That's just the way it is, And I really, the Bills are such an easy team to root for too because of
Yeah.
their fans and how they're jumping through tables and making pizzas in file cabinets. I mean, it's insane.
I know.
They're
They
awesome
are-
people.
They are a crazy group. Look, growing up in New York, my father was a huge Giants fan. My mother was a Steelers fan. And my siblings, so my brother's a Dallas fan. I can't really say anything because I'm a product of the late 70s. My brother's a product of the mid 70s. So that's where that came from, obviously. But I was always that closet Bills fan because I loved Jim Kelly. I loved Thurman Thomas, even though we're the same age. These are like a lot of the older Bills. You go back, Andre Reed. You look at some of these guys. How do you not root for a team like that, especially a team that lost 4 Super Bowls in a row?
4 Super Bowls and then followed that up with like 2 decades of just straight sucking. I mean, it was just
right?
never good,
You feel bad for a team like that. You always got to get behind an organization like that. But they're a great group of fans. I have some friends today, even that are up there in the Bills fans. But look, you made a great point. Jets, Ravens, Tennessee, and the Dolphins all ahead of Buffalo. Not something that anybody would have put their money on in the beginning of the year. Especially not the Dolphins, especially not the Jets. The Titans, I think we expected it. So I'm glad that they're in there because it's what we expected.
Yes.
And, that team is now starting to play a little bit better. Look, I'm going to tell you, I'm so mad on a sidebar here. So I went out and I needed defense. I went out and took the Titans defense. Every defense I have went out and got has done nothing but disappoint me and can't get over 10. It's killing me. But yet I've had Ryan Tannehill. He hasn't played consistent enough. I sat him on the bench and he went bananas. I'm like, great. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's the right decision. That's how fantasy football is. And I tell my friend always calls me up and just he just kills himself over the wrong decisions he makes in fantasy football. And I'm like, dude,
I do
you
too.
made the right decision. It just was a bad result. All
Right.
you can do in fantasy is make the right decision based on the information you have. Ryan
Exactly.
Tannehill has sucked all year. He probably not that he's sucked. I mean, fantasy production wise, he has
Right.
not been good. He's had a lot of
There's a
things
big
going on
difference.
around him that has led to
Fantasy,
that.
reality.
Right, right. And, so you're not going to start him. How could you trust him? And then, he's a bad cold weather quarterback normally too. And
Yep.
he goes out and has a career game. That's fantasy football. You know what I
I
mean? It's
was
just the way it works, man.
so mad. I'm like, what? Anyway,
Mhm.
all right, back to it. Pittsburgh beats the Saints 20-10. Most people thought that game was gonna pretty much go in that direction. Look, both these teams not playing at their level that they're used to. But here comes the Ginger Wonder. Andy Dalton comes in 174 yards, gets the start, 1 touchdown, 2 picks.
Why is he still starting?
I don't
Why?
understand
What
why
are they doing? I
why
think it's
Taysom
because they
Hill is
want
the
to
starter.
lose.
I don't know.
I think they want to lose. I think this is a tank job because I mean, listen,
He looks
Jameis is no
horrible, man.
great shakes, but this guy's terrible.
He is
Like,
bad.
and you have
Bad.
a division that's still winnable. Like, why? What? I don't understand
Alvin
the thought
Kamara, 26
process.
yards. What?
Yeah, yeah.
Are
I
you
mean,
kidding me?
open up the offense a little bit. Get Jameis in there. Jameis is all depressed. Nobody likes a depressed Jameis Winston. I want Jameis Winston eating crab legs and doing wacky workouts and stuff.
Yes.
This week he comes out, he says he's sad about it, and it sucks that he got benched because he got injured,
Yep.
which is pretty much what happened. He was playing like crap before that anyway. But guess what? Andy Dalton sucks. Go back to Jameis. Try it.
They need to
Throw
give
Taysom
Jameis
Hill
Winston.
out there. Like do something
That's what I said
different.
last.
Yeah. So at this point, I mean, the longer you keep Dalton out there, you have no excuse to be keeping him out there. The longer you keep him out there, the more that we're gonna know that you're tanking.
Yeah.
It's not happening with this team this year, man. And just call it a season. Get Jameis out there. Throw Ian Book out there if they even still have him. I don't even know. Whatever. I mean, just do something different. Like it's not working. We've seen all these games from Dalton, and it's just not
They're
working.
horrible, dude.
Awful.
Yeah. So on the other side of the ball, Pittsburgh Steelers, Kenny Pickett, 18 of 30, almost 200 yards. And look, Najee Harris almost had 100 yards. Kenny Pickett actually ran for 50 yards. And they got Jalen Warren back in the mix with 9 carries for 37 yards, which I was quite happy about. Could this be the final turnaround to getting the ship righted to perhaps somehow salvage this season? Now, I'm not saying playoffs. When I say salvage, I mean get ahead of that 500 mark.
Maybe. I mean, their schedule is kind of tough coming up. Bengals,
It is.
Colts, Falcons, Ravens.
Not easy.
And then you have the Ravens twice actually, and then you'll have a Deshaun Watson led Browns to close out the season.
Yep.
And then you got the Panthers in between there. But that's a pretty tough schedule, man.
It is.
I don't think so. And listen, at this point, the Steelers are going nowhere. Lose as many games as possible and just get as good a pick as
Right
possible.
now, we'd have the 10th pick.
Yeah, I think that's the best case scenario. I think this is what you want the rest of the year. You play in a bunch of close games, you lose the most of them, and your rookie quarterback shows you a little something
Sure.
between now and then, and you get a good pick and you invest in that offensive line, or the defense is getting a little long in the tooth. Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of work to do there. So if I'm a Steelers fan, I'll be pissed if we go 8-9 or 9-8 or something crazy like that where you reel off a bunch of wins to close out the year. I wouldn't want it if I'm a Steelers fan. So maybe it's a turning point or whatever, but you're not making the playoffs. You're not going far in the playoffs. So just lose.
I just don't know if it's in Mike Tomlin's DNA.
No, and I'm not saying
Just unfortunate.
Yeah, no, he's not. He is not going to tank the rest of the year, especially if he's on the hot seat and there is even any sense in the building that he might get fired if the season ends the way we think it's going to end. He ain't going to lay down, and I don't think he would lay down regardless. He's not that type of guy. I'm just saying, without doing so intentionally, the best way for them to move forward is to just lose as much as possible.
I agree. Look, here's the thing: the pieces are there. The defense is a lot younger. They have veteran leadership. Look, I wrote an article for stillcurtain.com about this. And the thing about it is we have to remember when it comes to Kenny Pickett, I want this kid to fail. I don't want him to come out in his first year of starting and light it up. I'll be honest, I don't. You know why? Because history has told me rookie quarterbacks that come out and just bang it out aren't always those quarterbacks that you have long term. Just doesn't happen. Because then for some reason, when they do get kicked in the teeth, they're just not ready for it.
Yep.
They don't respond well. In the article, I talk about guys like Peyton Manning, who had horrific numbers his first year. Some of the greatest quarterbacks that we've ever seen had some of the worst. Terry Bradshaw was horrific his rookie year. Troy Aikman, horrible. These guys just stunk up the place. Sometimes you want that quarterback to know what it's like to get kicked, as Eddie Murphy would say, in the ding-ding. You want them to.
Yep.
Because that makes them tougher players. It makes them tougher quarterbacks. Now they've gone through that. Because when you go from like Peyton Manning, who threw all those picks, the next year he threw like 3. Yep. His first year he threw like 18 or whatever the number was. But it made him go, that ain't no, not doing that again. I'm not going through that. That's what great players do. They figure it out after they get knocked down. And I'm hoping that that's what happens to Kenny Pickett. I'm hoping that that's what happens with this team, and they figure out a way to do as much as they can this year. Look, I don't see this team tanking for the I just don't see it. I think they're going to do everything they can to win. I don't think a lot of these wins are going to come to fruition that they would like, but I hope that we get a decent pick, and I would like to see them go out and get some offensive line plugs, please, long-term guys. So you're right. In that aspect, it would be nice to get, a top 10 pick,
Yeah, and like I said, you have, I think you have your core. I mean, I'm not going to declare that he's the guy or anything like that,
Yeah.
but you have a quarterback and build around him. That's it. I mean, and his numbers. I mean, I haven't listened. I'll admit I can't watch every game. I don't watch Steelers games normally because they're probably usually the most boring ones out of the slate of games. I'm looking at box scores here of Pickett's stats. I mean, he's completed over 60% of his passes in every game he's played. The numbers aren't terrible.
No.
So I mean, I think there's a little bit of hope there. You could speak to the eye test better than I can,
Right.
but I mean, from what I'm seeing and the little bit I've watched him, I don't see a guy who's like completely lost out there or anything.
No.
So you have what you need. You got the building block under center, and
Exactly.
now it's time to build around it and see if you can take that building block to the next level to a franchise cornerstone. You know what I mean?
You got to let the guy trip and fall. And he's done that a few times.
100%. Best way to learn is to fail. Honestly, it is.
It is,
man. That's what I've learned in life.
Period. It's not just it's not just football games and basketball games, and it's in life too. And look, I've seen this kid. I watch him move. I watch his footwork. Look, I'm impressed by him. I'm also impressed at the fact of his decision making. Does he rush things? Of course he does. He's a young kid. But people forget he spent 4 years at Pitt. Or spent 4 years starting. That's a long time to play football in college. It gives you a little bit of a leg up when you do come into the NFL. And I hate the word NFL ready. I really do. I'm not a fan of that word. I use it, just not a big fan of it. I don't necessarily think that it made him NFL ready. What I do think is that it prepared him to get beat up and not take it so personal right away. Because some of these guys, they spend a year, 2 years in college. They come out, they start, and they get beat up, and they're just like, I can't deal with it. Hey, man, that kid played for 4 years at Pitt. He was getting his, drug around that field quite often for 4 years. It's a long time. So I do think that attributes to some of the success that he does have. But again, it's always going to go back to the offensive line, Mike, and that's one of the biggest Achilles heels that Pittsburgh has right now, and it affects Kenny. You know what I mean? Obviously.
Hundred
Um,
percent, 100%. And
so
I'm seeing it with in the 2 games that Malik Willis started. I mean,
right,
I cautioned fans with everything, and those starts weren't great. So, but you have to remember, doesn't have a lot around him. Bad offensive line, and not the Steelers don't have this issue. I don't think, but Titans receivers have been terrible all year as well. So you have to find kind of those bits and pieces to say that you see with your own eyes
this works.
and you say, okay, that's something that a good pro quarterback does, and this guy just did it. Malik Willis, ripped this throw down the field. It was a great throw. The guy dropped it, but he made the throw. You know what I
Right.
mean? It should have been caught and whatever. So that's what you got to look for with these little glimpses. There's no such thing as an NFL ready rookie quarterback, okay?
Right.
Because the first time the guy steps on the field, it's like, whoa, this is fast, bro. Like, I'm not used to this speed. So nobody is ready for the NFL.
Yep.
It takes time, it takes learning, it takes learning on the job for a lot of these young players these days, because we're not seeing guys sit for a year or two anymore. So you know there's no such thing as NFL ready. It's kind of prepared for the NFL. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not to say
Yeah.
NFL ready is and I use it too, but it's
Right.
silly. At the
Ludicrous.
end of the day. Yeah.
All right, guys, keep it locked. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about. We got Colts, Raiders, Cowboys, Packers. Mike and I will talk about that, and then a very special edition of "Are You In or Are You Out?" with some some divisional questions that I have for Mike, and we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. Michael J. Mike Moraitis, right down the line. Keep it locked.
of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Get over to 100mixfm.com and leave us a message on how we're doing or what you want to hear. Right down the line, Michael J. Mike Moraitis hanging out with you on Twitter at RDTL Show, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com at Right Down the Line. All right, let me turn this down. Also, don't forget, if you want a custom jersey, look, I'm going to tell you, you can either get a custom jersey with your name on it. I know everybody loves doing that. But if you want to just get even your favorite player, I'm going to tell you who's got your hookup. It's really easy. They are called jerseyflock.com. Go check them out. Use promo code 100MixFM, and you'll get an additional 10% off. Look, these jerseys are already marked down like 30, 40%. So get over there, go check them out, and use the promo code 100MixFM and get an additional 10% off. It's jerseyflock.com. Go check them out. All right. And they got the cool color rush. Apparently, I guess Steeler fans aren't feeling the color rush anymore. I saw a bunch of tweets this morning like people just not feeling the color rush anymore.
The color rush is all black, right?
Yeah, black with the block yellow. I love
the best
Steelers
one.
Color rush. But I guess people want to go back to like the 1978 look, and I'm like,
What is that? The Bumblebee? Wait,
no, God, no.
That is just, I don't know why people like that. I get the old school thing with that, but that is the ugliest jersey in the history of
I have a
jerseys.
1933.
It's like the old Pirates one.
Right. I have a 1933 with the crest. Oh my God, it's so ugly. But I bought it just to have it. And every time I go, I'm like, you know what? This week I think I'm gonna wear it. Every time I put that thing on my body, dude, I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And it's an Ike Taylor jersey. I love it. But I'm like, every time I put it on my body, I'm just like, nothing goes good with this at all.
My favorite jersey ever was like the old school. The Astros had an ugly one too, but the Pirates one with the hat. And I just remember having the baseball, like the baseball cards with the ugly pirate hat guys. Oh my God, man.
Those
I probably
hats.
still have those. I think I have a Barry Bonds one with him wearing one of those old school hats or something like that.
So when we were kids, we used to call them the birthday cake hats because it looked like a birthday cake.
Gross.
Right.
It was like you'd get in like your local like PAL league, like one of those hats, like the foam and then it's all mesh around the back. Yep. Everybody had one of those if you played baseball as a kid.
Dude, oh my God. I could show you some pictures, but I am definitely not going to. All right. So there's a couple more games that I wanted to talk about, especially this Colts Raiders game. Now, are we counting the Raiders out too, man? I mean, they're 2-7. This is
dead.
like
dead.
I mean, Derek Carr? What happened? What happened?
It's funny when I think back of all the teams that we talked about at the beginning of the year and like the Broncos. We were high on the Broncos. We were talking about the Raiders maybe challenging for that division. And a lot of people were, I mean, you looked at up and down on paper. It's just you figured these teams from what they were last year would be at least slightly improved, or in the Broncos case, we thought significantly improved. And my God, has it gone in the opposite direction. I mean, it's just insane with what has transpired. I just don't feel like, I get it that the Raiders are not a great team by any stretch. I just don't feel like they're a 2-7 team. And listen, if the ball bounces a few different ways, things go a lot differently for them. It just goes to show you the fine line between, being a contender or, even just a playoff team and being 2-7. And the Raiders are like the epitome of that. It's just, they've had so many tough losses this year. And
I agree.
It's just Josh McDaniel is like cursed. He's got to be a coordinator, man. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
All I know is they are not being gentle to him by any stretch. He is getting beat up pretty good in the media. The media is not pulling any punches when it comes to that for him, but rightfully so. I mean, they're not getting the job done, and that's what happens. The blame is always going to fall on that coach. Look, here's where I'm at with it. As far as the Raiders go, there's just things that are, like you said, ball goes this way, ball goes that way. Hence, when people use the word hapless, oh my God, this is such a hapless team. Things are just not happening the way they need them to. The ball's not falling the way. Calls aren't being played at the right time. this is just it's all encompassed, Mike. It's everything.
Yeah, and listen, I cover a team on the opposite end of that spectrum, and the Titans, who like they're 7-3, but they're not like a dominant 7-3. You know, a couple of things
Right.
have bounced the right way, bounced the wrong way. I mean, week one against the Giants, Randy Bullock doinks one. Otherwise, you know, they win that game, and you know, there have been games where they have been absolute ugly, you know, dead, drop dead, drag them out wins,
Right.
and you know they just barely got by. So I mean, Titans are a team that could easily be, you know, almost as easily be 3-7 as they are 7-3. It's just sometimes the way that the ball rolls, you know. In an alternate universe, on an alternate timeline, the Raiders are 7-2 right now, and
Right.
cruising to the playoffs, you know. So I mean, it's just that's one of the aspects of the NFL that makes it so great.
Right.
Is, you know, you just a ball, you know, ball bounces this way or that way, and it's a difference between
Totally
a good
different
season and
story.
a bad one.
Look, Matt Ryan comes in. Jeff Saturday comes over. He says, "Look, forget what you heard. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm that guy. I believe in you. Let's get it done." Gets him the snaps. Matt Ryan comes in, goes 21 of 28, 222 yards. He throws for a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor gets in the mix and runs for 147 yards. Is Jeff Saturday the influx that they needed on this Indianapolis Colts? At least the offense, we can assume, right? Even though we're talking about a former defensive player, but I think he put so much into that team that week and that preparation. Because look, we all know Jeff knows what it takes to win.
Yes.
He knows, excuse me, he knows the preparation, what they have to do, what has to go down, the intensity of it. Look, do I think Jeff Saturday is the guy? I don't think so. I really don't. However, is he the guy right now? Oh my God, yeah. Because I've never seen that team play so good. So, look, a team that turns around that fast, you have to give the coach credit. You have to. Whether it's rah-rah, whether it's X's and O's, whether it's both, it doesn't matter. Something that man did rejuvenated that team and gave them a reason to play. What did you take out of it?
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, everybody's been giving Irsay crap about it, and Bill Cowher talking about it's a disgrace, and Joe Thomas has got strong words for. I think it was Joe Thomas or Kyle Long. I think it was Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas it was. Shut up. Shut up. You know, Jeff Saturday played 13. How many years did he play? 13 years in the NFL. He played with Marvin Harrison. He played with Peyton Manning. He was coached by Tony Dungy.
Yep.
Shut up. I mean, the guy, what more experience does he need? He's got an offensive coordinator to call plays. He's got a defensive coordinator to call plays. And I'll tell you another
As you
thing.
should.
Right. Of course. And, you know, we've spoken about that before. The head coach needs to be freed up. You know, the Colts were dead in the water. Why not? Why not give a guy a shot? Maybe you get a little rah-rah situation and this team wakes up and wins some games. You know, like I don't understand all the hate towards Saturday and not it's not really at Saturday. It's more at Irsay's decision. But people are kind of, oh, why would Jeff Saturday accept that? Why wouldn't he? These guys love the NFL. You know, like
I get to
we
put
have guys divorcing their wives over football.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just I just never understood the hate. Shut up. Let him play. Let him coach. He's got the experience. He knows what it takes to win. He's won a Super Bowl. This team was dead in the water. You know, you might as well try something radical. I love it. Anytime somebody does something radical and blows things up like Irsay has done, and Irsay's a nut, but I kind of love his nuttiness a little bit. You know, like
off.
Yeah, he's a little off, but he's nutty. And then, you know, also, why don't you give it to other coaches on the staff? Because with them on the staff, we were 3-5-1, and we tied the Texans. Like, what great shakes did you have on that coaching staff? Like, what part of that team was like, yeah, they're doing a great job. Let's put him in charge. Like, nobody. So give Saturday a shot. If it doesn't work, your season was over anyway. And if it works, maybe you found yourself a new head coach. You know, who knows? But at the end of the day, it's just whatever, man. You know, just see how it plays out, and I didn't have an issue with it at all.
I didn't either. I thought that sometimes the best fix for a problem is something that's staring at you in the face and is only going to be temporary anyway.
Yeah.
You can't always buy in and say, look, we need to find the guy for this job long term right now. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You weren't, like you said, you weren't making the playoffs anyway. So why not? You know who Jim Irsay reminds me of? P.T. freaking Barnum. Figure out a way to sell the tickets. Him and Jerry Jones. Sell the tickets. That's all they care about, right? Now, that's not all they care about. But bottom line is money, right? You got to make it at the end of the day. Sell the tickets, right? Jim Irsay. You know what? Let's bring in Jeff Saturday. He's a consultant with the team. We love him. The players love him. The fans love him. He's on TV every week. People know who he is. He's throwing flapjacks on, with Mike Greenberg and them and Dominique, and, on Get Up. People know who he is, right? It works. So what if it's a stopgap? So what if it's for the next 6 weeks? Who cares? If these guys start winning and you can kind of turn the culture, you said it best, Mike. The head coach needs to be freed up. There's no reason for you to be calling these offensive calls and these.
Right.
That's not your job. Your job is to take care of those two idiots and make sure they're doing their job. You need to be the morale guy. You need to be the guy down there that's making sure that they're going through with what the coordinators are telling them to do. That's your job. You should be down there bogged down with a play sheet. Why? Have your guys tell you what they want. You're like, no, I don't like that. Okay, fine. But you shouldn't be down there doing all of that. It's too much. I don't care who you are.
Yep. And here's a funny story about Jim Irsay's dad, who was obviously the Colts owner before him.
Right.
Irsay's father once stormed out of his seat during I'm reading from, I don't even know where this is from, to be honest with you.
Stormed out of his seat.
Stormed out of Irsay's father. This was in
Right.
1972.
Okay.
Stormed out of his seat mid-game during a loss against the Eagles, went to the sideline, demanded that his head coach swap out quarterbacks. The head coach refused, and then Irsay's father fired him on the spot.
Wow.
And promoted his general manager as the interim head coach. So, wacky Irsay decisions are not exclusive
right.
to Jimmy. Yeah, his dad
the
Robert.
apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
His dad Robert was just as much of a character, maybe even more so. I mean,
Oh,
the man
God.
went on the sideline mid-game and fired him. So,
Look,
apple doesn't fall far from the tree there.
Absolutely. Look, Tom Pelissero earlier this morning, Broncos coach Nathaniel Hackett turns over play calling duties to quarterback coach Clint Kubiak. Look,
time.
It has to happen. This should have happened 4 weeks ago, if you ask me.
Should have happened week 1 when he made the what was that, week 1 when he did the stupid field goal decision?
Yeah.
I mean, it should have happened then. When your decision making is clearly flawed, it's time for you to start focusing more on decision making and less on running an offense. And we've beat this to death a million times about head coaches trying to do too much, and that's definitely the situation with Hackett.
That's where you lose your job. That's how you lose your job. You are doing too much unnecessary work. You're burdening yourself. You're making things too confusing. Okay, well, the OC said this. Wait, coach said, stop. Right? Simplify as much as you can. You are a new coach. How this wasn't, like you said, indoctrinated in week 1, I don't understand. Because you have to make everything as simple as possible for yourself as the head coach. It's your first year. Why would you over compensate on everything? It's stupid. It's just dumb.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
You want to come back for a second year and not get fired, Frank Reich, in the middle of your freaking season. Who wants that?
Yeah, and especially I think for a first-time head coach, I think it's just foolish.
It is.
To try to call the plays and be a head coach. Hire an offensive coordinator. you always have at least a couple of years of leeway there. See how it goes with the offensive coordinator. Learn the ropes, because I don't care how much an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, whatever assistant coach has watched a head coach do it. Until you're there in the moment and you've got to actually make those decisions on top of your play calling, dude, you really don't know what to expect from that. So Hackett, I mean, he should have done this long ago,
I
long ago.
agree.
And it's just too little too late. They're cooked too. Their season's over.
Oh God, yeah.
And I would imagine there's going to be some hell to pay after that too. But yeah, I mean, right decision, just wrong time. You waited way too long.
Absolutely. All right. We're going to do a little are you in or are you out? And I don't, you know what? And maybe not so much are you in or are you out, but I guess, yeah, it is. So there are some divisions right now that are just kind of tight, if you will. And it just seems like there's some teams that could sneak in that are at the bottom. Some, may or may not, but it's worth the look. So one of the first divisions, obviously, we'll look at the top of the board is the AFC East. We've talked about this a couple times. You got the Dolphins, Jets, Bills, and the Pats are in last place in that division at 5-4. Seeing what you've seen, who wins the AFC East now? Obviously, we had different thoughts in the beginning of the season before week 1, but as it goes and as of what you've seen thus far, Mike, who do you like to win the AFC East now?
Well, first of all, if the playoffs started right this second, all 4 of those teams would be in the playoffs, which is insane. I mean,
Right.
you see both East divisions were thought to be like maybe 2 teams in that division are going to be good and that's
Right.
it. And
And now
both
you're
East
like, what?
divisions are
They're the
incredibly
best.
competitive.
Yeah.
I still have the Bills winning that division. I still think they're the class of that division for sure. And probably with the exception of the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. I'm not, putting them behind, even some of those teams that have a better record with them just because of record. I still think the Bills are the class of not only the AFC, but of that division as well. I think they'll win it. I think you're going to see the Jets and Patriots fade a little bit, and I think the Dolphins will grab a wild card spot. I think the Bills will win the division, and the Dolphins will grab a wild card spot. The Jets and the Patriots will just miss out on the playoffs.
I still think the Bills are who we think they are.
I agree. Yep.
I think that barring a few injuries, a couple missteps, look, Devin Singletary, you get him the ball. You got to make some changes, and I think that that's on the table. I think they're going to make some changes. I think Josh Allen kind of removes his head from his rear end, as my grandmother would like to say.
Yep.
There's some things that need to be fixed because they're fixable. It's not like we're looking at this team and going, oh, my God, there's no way. No, those things that they are doing are fixable. I agree with you. I still think that we're talking about the Bills winning the AFC East. All right, let's look at the AFC North. You have Ravens, Bengals, who I still think are kind of that, okay, I'm not quite sure who's going to win that division. And you got the Browns and the Steelers both at 3-6. Are the Ravens a lock for you for the AFC North?
A lock?
Yeah.
No. I don't know if I would say a lock. I think the Bengals' best football is ahead of them. I do think the Ravens are going to win that division, though. Their defense is getting healthier. They got a couple of linebackers, or outside linebackers, I should say, back in the past couple of weeks. They're going to continue to get stronger. We know their offense is going to be really good. They lost Bateman, which is a tough loss, but let's be honest. I mean, that offense runs through Lamar Jackson's legs anyway, and
Right.
you still have Mark Andrews, and so I think the Ravens are eventually going to pull out that division, but that's going to go right down to the wire. I mean, I think those two teams are neck and neck as far as talent is concerned. I think Bengals obviously have more on offense, but I think the Ravens ultimately win that. I think their defense is going to start to get really good as the year. Their defense has been okay.
Right.
It's had its ups and downs, but I think it's going to get a lot better the closer to the end of the season we get.
As Coach Lee Corso would say, not so fast, my friend. I honestly think that the Bengals, I agree with you on the fact that I think we're going to see better football from them. I think that it just took them a little while to get going. I think the inability to maybe have him sit and maybe nurse his appendectomy thing a little bit longer. I think maybe that had something attributed to him not really being able to get off the porch right away.
Right.
He's off the porch. He's running with the big dogs. He's definitely playing much better. That team collectively. Joe Mixon is, oh my God. Look, this is a team that I think offensively is just going to continue to be better. We're going to see a lot of what we saw last year, but I think a lot of it is going to be refined too. I think I completely agree with you. There's more good football, and their best football is ahead of them. I think the Bengals win the AFC North as of right now. All right, so let's look at the NFC East, right? We just talked about it. These are the two divisions, the AFC and the NFC East, that a lot of people were like, it's just going to be this team. So much controversy. Now you have so much winning going on. Eagles are 8-1. The Giants are 7-2. The Cowboys are 6-3. And the Commanders, if you will, are 5-5. They've even said Tyler Heineke is our guy for the foreseeable future.
As
they
he
said
should
it this
be.
morning, as he should be. Good for them. Who wins the NFC East?
Yeah, still the Eagles. I think the Giants, Cowboys, and Commanders are going to kind of beat the crap out of each other the rest of the way and kind of help out the Eagles, make things easier. But, the Eagles are going to lose probably, 3-4 games maybe, and they will win that division by multiple games. I think of the other three teams, I do think the Cowboys are the best team. The Giants are playing over their heads right now, and I think they'll continue probably to do that. And one of those teams is going to get Odell Beckham Jr., it looks like. And
Yeah.
Some people call me crazy when I said that the Giants were a real contender in this, and it looks like
Dallas
it's down
and
to
New
the
York.
Cowboys and the Giants. And
It is.
yeah, I was talking to a buddy today, and I said, who knows? Maybe the winner of that Thanksgiving game is going to be the one he chooses. It could be the OBJ Bowl.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I still think the Cowboys are the better team, but a lot change if Beckham comes back and he's playing close to a high level, which I'm not so sure he's going
He
to.
won't be.
I don't see how that could happen. But if he does and he goes to the Giants, that's a different Giants team now, man. That's one thing to keep an eye out for. I think the Cowboys are where they are with talent, because of talent, I should say. I think the Giants are where they are because of coaching. So,
Absolutely.
that's why I kind of give the edge to the Cowboys a little bit more.
Look, I agree with that. I still like the Eagles to win the division, but I think it's going to be close, and there's definitely going to be a wild card coming out of it. Look, so many things have transpired that none of us saw. The Giants, did we know Brian Daboll was a good coach, an offensive coordinator? Absolutely. Did we know that he was such a great leader of men at any given Sunday? I don't think, I think we all knew he was very talented and had a great football mind. I don't think anybody saw this happening.
No.
Dallas, we see this from them from time to time. We're kind of used to that Jerry Jones roller coaster, I do think Dallas collectively is probably a better team on paper, if you will.
Yes.
But if you put heart into the mix and you had to put the Giants versus the Cowboys on who's going to go to the playoffs, that would be a tough one for me. It really would, because heart and soul, I would put into the Giants. On paper, I would give it to the Cowboys. So it'd be very hard to even differentiate the two, because that's how I would have to do it. NFC South, Bucks, Falcons, Panthers, and the Saints. Do the Panthers and the Saints have a chance to kind of climb up? I don't know, man. Tampa's played horrible. Atlanta finally has found its stride. Carolina and New Orleans just don't seem like they can't get out of each other's way, or their own way for that matter. Who do you like to win this division right now? Is it still Tampa?
Yeah, I guess. I think if I remember correctly, I picked the Saints, but they're dead.
I think we both did, dude.
Yeah, I think we both did. And Dalton stinks. And give me Jameis. Give me crab legs.
We both wanted to see Jameis, and what did I say? This is the year that Jameis makes everybody remember who he is. You're making me look bad, Jameis. You're making me
right.
Look.
Yeah, it's just a disaster over there. Yeah, I I guess you have to go with Tampa. They're just the team that sucks the least in that division. They're not a good team right now. Maybe they'll start to pick up form. That's one team to watch in the second half of the season as far as them getting their legs under them. Their defenses played pretty well. The offenses, maybe it's starting to get things together. We'll see. But the only team I think that has a shot to unseat them are the Falcons. I think the Panthers are a bad 3-7 team. I think they're worse than 3-7. I think they've actually played above their heads a little bit. I think they're worse. I think other than the Texans, they're the worst team in the league.
And their quarterback play is just horrible between
Awful.
Baker and they're moving everybody.
Baker's
let
cooked.
him play. Let him, and you're kind of like, it's enough. It really is.
Yeah.
All right. What about NFC West? Seattle, San Fran, Arizona, and the Rams. Does anybody have a shot? To me, anybody but the Rams, in my opinion, have a shot at this. Seattle, even though they're 6-4, I think for me, my odds-on favorite is still the 49ers to win this division. I know Seattle is playing well. I know we are seeing the ultimate Geno Smith that we haven't seen in quite some time. And I'm with you. And I enjoy watching him play now. I still think San Francisco, top to bottom, is still a better team on both sides of the ball.
Oh, agree 100%. And not only are they the best team, I think, in the NFC West, I think they're either the second or third best team in the conference. Eagles, Vikings, and then who are you putting above the 49ers?
Right.
The Giants, Cowboys, not really. Definitely not the Commanders.
God.
So I mean, the Niners are one of the best teams in the conference. If they could just stay healthy, that's the thing. I mean, can they stay healthy? That defense is good, but they're even banged up on that side of the ball. But yeah, I mean, I keep waiting for the Seahawks wheels to fall off. Maybe it never happens, but I'm still expecting it to happen enough to where the Niners are going to be able to win that division.
Best decision of the morning, would you agree, is Nathaniel Hackett letting go of those offensive calls to Kubiak?
Yeah, again, way too little, too late. This should have happened a long time
Would
ago.
you trust your quarterback coach, though?
I mean, could it get any worse? I mean, they have one of the
Good
worst
point.
offenses in the league. I mean, like,
Good point.
I applaud,
Why not let the quarterback coach call it?
right? And it's like, whatever you want to talk about, maybe you should have given it to this guy or that guy or whatever. He did it. You know what I mean? That's the thing that I like the most about it, is that he made the decision. He's not sitting here and being stubborn, and I think that that's a really good move, as far as, admitting you have an issue and allowing somebody
You have
else
a problem.
give him a shot. And this is today, man, it's a get right game. I mean, this is a type of get right spot.
Yep.
The Raiders are not good defensively.
Big
Devontae Adams is
robbery
playing banged up.
Big.
Yeah, they should put points up today, and we'll see if it happens. And then everybody will be singing the quarterback coach's praises and little Kubiak and all these things. But yeah, I applaud the decision itself,
Right.
even if you say maybe, you shouldn't have given it to somebody else or whatever. Let's just focus on the decision. This team isn't going anywhere. So at least you have a head coach who has been very classy and handling this all the right way. He hasn't lashed out at anybody. He's very honest. He's he understands what's going on. He's not running away from the issues. So that, in that sense too, I applaud Hackett. He's handled it really well.
At any given time, before we go to break, I'm going to say this. At any given time, you can see the absolute dismay, confusion on Nathaniel Hackett's face at any given time. He's talking to a referee, and he's like he just always seems like he has no idea what is going on. If I was talented enough to take snapshots and create memes during these games, I would have a plethora of Nathaniel Hackett memes on complete and utter confusion throughout the past 10 weeks of football. Every time I see this man on the sidelines, I don't know what it is. I just feel like the guy, like, you ever see the kid in school that's trying to cheat off of other people? And he's got the call sheet in front of him, and you see him going, like, whose notes are you cheating? Whose test are you cheating off of? There's nobody else. This is your job, dude. That's what is killing me about this guy. So for me, when I saw that this morning, from Tom Pelissero, I was like, you know what? This is an absolute had to happen move. This is a huge rivalry in Denver. When I covered them, I cannot tell you, I've been around a lot of rivalries in my career, in my life. This one, it's one of the ones that I, to this day, I still don't understand. But you have to be in it to understand it. And they absolutely can't stand each other. It's so bad on a level that in Denver, it's on a level that you're kind of like, what did they ever do to you? So this is a big, big game. And I think that Nathaniel Hackett at this point was smart enough to say, look, I got to do something. Something's got to change. This is a big game coming up. I want the fans back in my good graces. I want them to like me again. And I think that's why part of it actually went down. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I honestly think that was a big part of it,
Yep.
But, we'll see. We'll see what happens today. And like you said, it's a get-right game. And the Raiders have been playing like crap, as we both alluded to. All right. Keep it locked. When we come back, quick, bold predictions and some of our upsets of the week right here on Right Down the Line. Michael J. Mike Moraitis. Don't go nowhere.
Lunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the ad.
Decades of hits right here on 100 Mix FM.
Right down the line, Michael J. Mike Moraitis hanging out with you. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter at RDTL Show. And don't forget to check us out on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/at right down the line. Don't forget to check out my man, Mike Moraitis. He is the man over at TitonsWire.com. Make sure you go check him out. Always a plethora of information, this guy.
Yes, and for you, all you Aaron Rodgers haters out there, the Titans threw the dirt on him the other night.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh, my God. I'm telling you, man, that was a really interesting game. Not going to lie. It really was. I didn't expect a lot from them. I saw a little surge in the third quarter, but I mean,
it really was an uneventful
enough.
game. The defense just really, and Rodgers was missing throws too. So I mean, there were some opportunities he left on the table, man. But Titans defense is just, it's unreal. Their defense is so damn good, and it's not just about skill because these guys are missing players every game. They were missing half their defense against was it Denver? And they were missing multiple guys against Kansas City too. And every game this defense comes out and it plays great. It's not just about talent for them; it's about scheme as well. They got a really smart way that they run their defense and giving quarterbacks different looks and tricking them and confusing them, and just really impressive with what I've seen out of their defense. If their offense gets going, they've got a legit shot to make a run.
Well, see, and here's the thing: I was impressed with their defense. That's why I went out and picked them up. However, fantasy-wise,
yeah, they didn't get any turnovers. Yeah, I think they dropped.
Hurt me.
I think they dropped one. Or was that Denver? They dropped like 2 or 3 against Denver.
I was just like, oh my
God. Why they're cornerbacks, man? They can't catch.
Yeah, but fantasy-wise, if I would have, put your boy Tannehill in,
you would have been good to go.
I'd have been good to go.
Good to go.
Forget about it. All right.
Over here.
Biggest upset. Look, I'm trying to find an upset before we go to these bold predictions.
Yeah, I was looking too. It's disgusting. It's disgusting
really,
out there.
Look, the only one that I will even put my thumb on that I think that anybody should put any money on is the Raider Bronco game. It's the only one. Denver's favored by 3 because they're at home.
Right, that's a toss-up.
Big rivalry game. This should be a pick 'em. It should be even. But Denver's getting 3 because they're at Mile High, and people always tend to, to struggle a little bit. The altitude. Look, people, it's real. Trust me, I live there. I covered the Broncos. It's real, and you see it when some other teams come in. You see them when they first get there, a little rusty, a little lethargic. Takes them a minute to get going. It's a real thing. So that 3 points is warranted. Trust me, and it's not because of the Broncos. It's the altitude that's getting the 3 points. So, however, I think Derek Carr is kind of, the last press conference we saw is good. He was this guy. Look, somebody's got to kick this dude right in the ding-ding and be like, look, bro, you got to knock it off. You're getting paid millions of dollars. You're an NFL quarterback. Look, either you know what or get off the pot. Nut up, man up, let's go. And I think that somewhere along the line, he's going to look at that press conference and he's going to see that video. He's not going to be very happy with it. And I think he's going to somehow, some way, find a way to not be kicked in the ding-ding anymore. And I think that they find a way to squeak this one out. Because honestly, I'll tell you right now, offensively, Derek Carr is playing better than Russell Wilson. And I think that offense is better. At least they're playing better right now. They might not be better on paper. However, they are playing better than that offense in Denver. And for that would be my only upset pick of the week, are the Raiders over the Broncos.
I have a couple, actually, now that I'm looking at it a little bit more. One I'll give you is the Lions and the Giants. We know how dangerous the Lions can be. Giants are not, I don't think are the powerhouse that their record says they are, so they're susceptible to these types of losses. I could see the Lions going into MetLife and winning that game. Another one, the Jets. They've lost 13 straight, and
3.5.
Spoiler alert: We're going to talk about them again in a second in the bowl prediction section.
Okay.
I got the Jets. Yeah, I think the Jets could definitely pull off an upset there. 3.5 I have with Tipico Sportsbook. So that's another one to keep an eye on. And I'll give you the deepest upset possibility of the week, and that is
Don't go to the Dallas game.
no.
Okay.
The Houston Texans over the Washington Commanders. And let me tell you why. It's a gut feeling, and let me tell you why.
It is only 3 points.
It is only 3 points. The Commanders are not this world-beating team. They're coming off a game in which they beat the best, arguably one of the top 2 best teams in the NFL, and the Eagles.
Right.
A lot of
Nobody saw it
emotion,
coming.
a lot of partying.
Yeah.
Now you go from the best team in the league to the worst team in the league. And don't sit there and tell me, I don't care if it's Taylor Heineke or Carson Wentz or whoever.
Right.
This Commanders team is a team that's going to be susceptible to a letdown game. And this one has letdown game written all over it. You come in, we just beat the Eagles. We're thumping our chest. We're going to smash these Texans.
Trap game.
And then all of a sudden, it's 13-10 with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and you're losing, and you end up losing the game. So that's one to keep an eye on. This game is going to tell me a lot about the Commanders. If they can go out there and stomp the Texans like I think they're capable of doing, that tells me they're a little more for real than
you
otherwise. If they
Sure.
if they lose, and it's just kind of like it's the same old Commanders,
Right.
something like that.
But you know what though? I'm with you on you beat the best team. Look, that story is as old as time. You just beat the one team that nobody, me, you, George, none of us thought it would be the Commanders.
Nope.
Right? We thought it would be the Giants or whatever that would be the first team to beat them. So it's a story as old as time. You just you're one of those, probably the worst team, one of the worst teams. Just not good. You're just not really playing that well. And you somehow pull off the coup of the year, and you beat the undefeated team. Now you're playing the crappiest team.
Yeah.
The story is old as time. They're about to lose. They just beat the best team. They're about to lose to the worst team. I could see it happening. I'm all over it. I'm with you. It would only be so apropos. There's no way for you to walk away from that and go, oh, nah, Moraitis is crazy. I'm sitting here going, I've seen it. I've actually seen it.
Yeah, and with that spread only being 3 points, Vegas is thinking about that too, I think. I think Vegas is definitely thinking about, the Commanders are the type of team, they're in that middle range right now, but they're one of those teams that you could so see them having a letdown game, man. And again, as somebody who covers the Titans, I have seen the Titans do this over and over again, where they'll beat the Chiefs, and then the next week they'll go out and lose to one of the worst, the Jets, or I don't remember exactly what it was, but they've had some big wins against teams that nobody gave them a chance to beat, and then they'll go out in the next week or two and the bed and lose to a last place team or whatever. So I've seen it, man.
I know. I have too, and it's a great take, dude. I love it. That's a great one. Kudos to you. All right, give me your bold prediction for the week.
For the first time in their last 13 meetings with the Patriots, the New York Jets are going to go into Gillette today and knock off Bill Belichick and co. They have lost 13. Why is that bold? Because the Jets have lost 13 straight games to the Patriots. 13, dating back to 2015. Quick maths, whatever. They have not beaten this team in a long, long time. And I think this is a different Jets team. I think this is a Jets team that's moving in the right direction. I think their biggest question mark is under center and Zach Wilson. And while I don't think he's going to answer any of the questions I have about him today, I think the Jets are going to win that game. And they're going to win it with a good defensive effort. Their defense is not getting talked about enough. I think they've got a really good defense. They've got some really great young talent. Can't wait to see this team next year with a healthy Breece Hall and maybe another year of experience. But Jets are going out and winning that game today.
Here's the thing. I've gone through on NFL.com, on ESPN.com, and I saw something that kind of caught my eye. and it's about the same game. And their bold prediction, Rich Cimini says, neither team will crack 20 points. Now I'm going to tell
bold.
You, that is bold. However, I know. However, I would.
Both offenses stink. Yeah, I mean,
I know. I could see the Jets beat. The only reason this game has 3 points attached to New England is because it's at Gillette. Again, another atmosphere. Maybe not taken as quite as serious as it used to be when Tom Brady was there. However, still Gillette. It's still an atmosphere, right?
Yep.
I could easily see the Jets winning this. However, with them saying 20 points, I'm not necessarily going to co-sign on that. But I do think that this is going to be the lowest scoring game of the week.
Yeah, this is one of those games that you're flipping through. Like if you have Sunday Ticket, you're flipping through and you just
third quarter, it's going to be like 7-3. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to be some ugly
I don't see
situation.
a lot of points. I honestly think that this game is going to be the lowest combined score game of the entire week.
Yeah, what's the under?
Under?
I have over under 38. Yeah, I would slam that. Not think twice about it.
Yeah, I mean to me that's kind of high.
Yeah, even that is like on the higher end. Yeah,
Jets defense has been playing well.
The only thing I'll say is when a line looks obviously too easy, it's usually going to go in the opposite direction. It feels like so.
Yeah, there is always that.
I don't want to say hashtag NFL rigged. I'm not going to say that.
NFL conspiracy theory. Okay.
Right.
All right. Plug your stuff, Mike. Let them know where they can find you, buddy.
As always, check me out at titanswire.usatoday.com. I'm not writing a single thing today because my brain is fried from writing so much this week, but every day of the week, you're going to get 4 or 5 articles on the Titans minimum. That's more than any other Titans website is putting out on a daily basis. And you can find me at Michael Moraitis on Twitter or at the Titans Wire on Twitter as well, as long as Twitter doesn't burn to the ground over the weekend.
I know, as we're all waiting patiently.
I know. Yeah.
Find out. Yeah. Look, I am not backing this dude by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I love it.
But let me explain something to you. If I just bought a company and the company was losing that much money on a weekly basis, $4 million to be exact.
Is that how much it was? Oh my God.
Yo, I'm cracking skulls too when I get there. What, y'all? Hey, what are y'all doing? No? Oh, you're one of the reasons? Out of here. What's going on with you guys? You guys part of the problem? Yeah, we're losing $4 million a week. What? Okay, bye-bye.
Right. Yeah.
All right, business is business, people.
Yeah.
This is not a drum circle.
Right.
I'm so tired of people going, I can't believe, look at all the families he's destroying before the holidays. Look, if you're not doing your job, you have to go. Bye-bye. See ya.
Yes. And anybody pretending like Twitter wasn't an absolute disaster dumpster fire before he got there, you're kidding yourself. Your perspective of what Twitter was depends on your political leanings. That's really all it boils down to. Twitter was a disaster. They had employees selling, the check marks for upwards of 15,000 under the table, and they and then listen, he fired a bunch of people, and the app's still running as good as it normally did. So clearly they had too many people, and that's probably part of the reason why he was losing money.
Dude, $4 million. That's a lot. That's a lot to choke on, man. Every week, you're like, God.
I love the chaos. I love the chaos. It's so great.
I think that everybody needs to take a step back and realize at the end of the day, this is a freaking business.
Right.
This dude is losing that.
Give it time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Twitter is chaos, and what Elon's doing right now is just another day in the life of Twitter, man. That's the way I look at it.
He's just trying to. Hey, look, the guy just paid what, $4 billion for the company? 44 billion,
and he overpaid by a lot.
Oh, a whole lot. Look, give the guy a minute, will you? He's trying to find out where that company is hemorrhaging money so he can stop, so that he can start lining his pockets and hopefully try to get some of his dough back. I mean, Come on, people.
Right.
Anyway. All right. Michael J. Mike Moraitis. Don't forget, follow me on social media at Michael J. Radio. Super easy to do it. Titans. There he is. All right, and don't forget we are gonna start 100 Mix FM. We'll be live on air next week. We're probably looking at the day after Thanksgiving, so that Friday, the biggest, the Black Friday. Although Black Friday isn't what it used to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but people are still getting trampled, man.
I know, and I love
That's
watching.
crazy, bro. I would never even dream of doing it. I waited in line like 8 hours for like the Xbox 360 when it came out once, and that was insane. That was the last time I would ever do anything like that. And then just trampling on other human beings to go get a TV,
Ridiculous.
a crappy TV that's on sale. Yeah, I mean, please.
Dude, I did
And
it.
it's not
once.
even for their loved ones. It's for them. Come on,
Right.
stop.
That's
We're not going Christmas shopping the day after Thanksgiving. Just stop.
I did it once, and I got a TV. I got 4 brand new tires. And all this was at Walmart. No trampling necessary.
Good, nice.
Actually, wasn't bad. So
yeah,
and it was actually on Thursday at 6:30. This was when Walmart used to do the Black Friday on Thanksgiving. So that's the only one I have ever attended, and I was freaking out because my anxiety is bad, and I'm just like,
I bet.
I'm looking at her going, this is not going to be good for me. She's like, just relax. If it gets bad, you go. I'll stay. I'm like, okay, and it was fine, dude. Now, I had a couple people behind me kind of like, and I'm like, okay, the next person that touches me, we're going to have problems. And as soon as I said that, all the people backed up. Nobody did anything. And I was just like, thank you.
They know.
Because I looked like a crazy person. I was like, the next person that freaking touches me, they were like, okay.
And there's always the crazy person in the crowd in those situations. Not that you were that guy, but they're wondering if you're that guy.
Right.
Anybody that knows you knows you're not that guy. Right. But still, they're like, this guy, the guy. He might be the one that I get trampled by. Who knows?
They were going to make sure that just in case I was the guy.
Right.
They didn't want to tangle. All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it as always. Don't forget, you can always listen to the replay on Apple Podcasts and, of course, iHeart Radio as well. Just type in Right Down the Line. You'll find us. Thanks again. And as we say around here all the time, don't sweat small stuff. We're out of here. See you.
Later.